Well, mental health is a popular topic during the month. Starting again?
No, we're not starting again.
Yes,
we're keeping
I
it
get
in.
one
We're
try.
keeping
I
it
get
in.
one try.
No
Take
edit.
two. Mental health is a popular topic during the month of January, especially this year. And so today's episode might seem a little out of character for this messy podcast because joining us to talk about the importance of mental health and his journey through it is Canadian actor and motivational speaker, Corey Dixon. Woo! Hi, Corey.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, but let me finish telling people all about you because you, sir, have appeared on popular TV shows like Degrassi, The Next Generation.
I was going to say The Next Generation
Of course,
because you're a little way too young for our generation of Degrassi, the Drake generation.
Wheelchair Jimmy. That's not the only show Corey's been on. He's been on Paranormal Witness, love that show, and Party Mamas. We're going to talk about that. However, beyond his acting career, Corey carries a unique story of perseverance. Having experienced bullying from a young age, Corey developed anxiety and was diagnosed with depression. Then, in 2016, Corey experienced a tragic accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down. Doctors were unsure if Corey would ever be able to walk again, but against serious odds, he did. And having moved through those adversities, Corey's now a motivational speaker and shares his story with people across Canada, educating others on the importance of anti-bullying and mental health. One more time for Corey Dixon!
Thanks so much for having me.
Way to make lemons into lemonade. Geez, because, you know, I'm an aspiring actor, and the last thing I'd ever want to do if I was paralyzed is go inspire other people. I'd be so pissed. So you're a good person, better than me, Corey.
Yeah, no, it wasn't an easy journey for sure, and we weren't sure if I was going to be able to walk again, and that was a huge thing that really hit hard with me because I love the entertainment industry so much, and it was, to say the least, it was a really hard battle, but through rehab and through being able to, somehow be able to walk again, and then eventually, I just kept doing physiotherapy, and, I'm definitely not back to my normal self prior to my fall by any means, but I'm considering the injuries that I suffered, I'm doing pretty damn well.
Good for you.
You got to be really proud of yourself too.
Yeah, you know what? In a hospital, I was like moaning and groaning, and I was an absolute mess. But like after a while, I kind of just learned to accept my fate, I guess you would say, and I accept the fact that this happened to me, and this is a very real thing now that I have to deal with. And whatever my new normal was going to be, I was ready for it. I was prepping to be stuck in a wheelchair. Matter of fact, there was a couple doctors that were pretty damn sure I was going to be stuck in a wheelchair too. But beyond all odds, after a lot of therapy and a lot of help from the rehab facility I was at, Toronto Rehab, the Spinal Cord Injury Ontario, they helped me out a lot. And it's a miracle that I'm able to walk again, and it's a miracle that I'm even lucky to be alive.
Well, they're only a certain percentage of the battle. You got to give yourself a lot of credit because there's a lot of people that would give up.
Yeah.
And would not fight. Like you put in the effort, you defied odds.
Yeah, it's definitely, it was, even like in the rehab hospital, I did notice that a lot of people's mental health were suffering because people didn't have like the resources and stuff like that. It was truly sad to see. I think, when you go through an experience like that, your whole view on life completely changes. And prior to my trauma, I was only about the entertainment industry, like really focusing on myself, which is nothing wrong to be focusing on yourself. But I just really never, you never really think about people that, are less fortunate or have, severe injuries like that, or, that are going through something difficult like that until you truly experience it. And unfortunately I did. And, like I said, I saw nightmare scenarios in the hospital, and things that still to this day will never leave, my head. Like, it's embedded in there. I think that drives me a lot to be wanting to help other people and take part in a lot of charities that I have taken part in since my trauma.
Well, Corey, before we get too deep into your rehab and your story that you're living now, I want to let you know that I know all about the less fortunate because the Botox clinics are closed here in Ottawa. So, it's a rough time for all of us. I try to make light of unfortunate situations. That's how I get through things. But before, we probably have a lot of people listening wondering what happened to you. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your accident? Was it a car accident?
No, actually. So, I don't want to go too heavily into detail about it because, the main story behind my message is always telling about the recovery story and aspect of things like that. But it was a very innocent accident. You know, I happened to have fallen off a 50-foot cliff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we won't go into too much detail on how that happened, but you know, that did happen, and thank God for the bless you, and then,
Thank you. Sorry.
and thank God for, you know, the life-saving rescuers that were there, and thank God for the surgeons that, you know, at the trauma center that were able to operate on me and, you know, get me into the OR in time, and then, you know, be able to fix me as much as they possibly could, considering every injury that I suffered. I mean, the injuries go on from everything from like a ruptured aorta to major spinal cord damage to 30 fractures to pelvic fracture to brain bleed, you name it. I had like 5 different surgeries. It was crazy. So I was in ICU on life support for 2 weeks. I was on a ventilator. So I mean, it's truly a God blessed miracle that I'm even here talking to you guys today.
I love that you give credit to search and rescue, because I come from an area that I live about a block away from a canyon, or growing up, I lived a block away from a canyon, not currently. And, you know, a lot of people go cliff jumping in there. And I remember every year that I would know when the season would start because I would hear the ambulance. And the one thing that a lot of people don't know about search and rescue is that it's all volunteer. And so they don't get enough credit, the credit that is definitely due. So I love that you pointed that out.
Yeah, absolutely. First responders are so important. I mean, since my trauma, beyond like, you know, being a mental health advocate and continuing with the entertainment stuff, obviously it's in my blood. But I mean, you know, I wanted to help people even further than that. So what I actually did was I became what they call EMR certified through Canadian Red Cross. So I actually started doing like stuff like event medical and started, you know, volunteering my time as well to be able to help people physically as well. So, and through that, I met a lot of paramedic friends, and, you know, I'm still friends with a lot of paramedics till this day. And yeah, you know, they are true heroes. And, you know, I wanted to, you know, take part in that and kind of throw myself into that mix as well and be able to say, you know, yeah, I can help others. We can't save everybody. I mean, I can tell you countless times where I've done event medical where, you know, unfortunately we can't save someone that's overdosed all the time. And it's a sad situation for sure, but, you know, we try our best, and, you know, that's what we do. But,
I do feel like we've forgotten a bit about our first responders and late. Do you remember like at the beginning of COVID when we would, you know, ring our bells at 7 p.m. every night to like say thank you? I feel like we forgot about that a little bit, you know, the front line and the first responders. They're all part of it, right?
It's really sad because I actually live like downtown currently, like in Square One area, Mississauga, Ontario, and yeah, you're right. Like they used to, you know, do a whole night of like thanking first responders and stuff like that, and and I haven't heard it ever since like the first wave. And I think I get people are tired of COVID. I think everybody is, but I think that the main thing we can't forget is our first responders, and not just our first responders, but the hospital crew. Like everyone that's working in hospital right now, working over hours, they're exhausted. You know,
all the way down to the cleaning crew. Let's not forget about our janitorial staff as well, right?
Yeah, no, it's you know, people can't forget about them, and I think like it's gotten to a point now where people are like almost used to COVID as a weird thing as it says, where they kind of are slowly forgetting about them, and I don't think that we should. And I just made a post recently on my Instagram not long ago, basically, you know, thanking the first responders and medical staff that helped me, but also making sure that, you know, I pointed out, you know, it's also important to thank them now because they are doing an incredible job and the best they can during this rough time.
It's been a long road for them too.
No kidding.
We're approaching a year and not far away, you know?
So, you know, you can imagine their mental health struggle, and even us just trapped at home are having mental health struggles. So I want to ask you how you made that switch when you were laying in the hospital, probably thinking my aspirations as an actor are over, you know, nobody's going to want an actor in a wheelchair, all these horrible things you talk yourself into when you're in that, you know, mental state. How did you shift? Because now look at all the good that's come out of your journey from something so horrible. But at the time, I bet it wasn't always so rosy.
No, not at all. There was nights that I was very miserable in the hospital, and I was on an incredible amount of like painkillers and medications through IV. And it was a very, very, very rough journey through hospital. But I think like the moment where it turned was when I started noticing the people that were coming to see me were people that have been through something similar like myself already, and they would come visit me and talk with me and say, hey, like, you know, and they'd have really like deep one-on-one talks with me, including like even the personal support worker that would literally, you know, get me to the shower because I wasn't able to walk, right? So they'd get me to the shower from the hospital bed. And, you know, what I realized was I deeply forgot about the small things. Like, you know, everybody takes showers every day, nice warm showers every day and stuff like that. I love nice warm showers. But one thing that I wasn't able to do a heck of a lot being in the hospital was take nice warm showers. And, you know, I wasn't in my home, right? So, I mean, like, at that moment, I started thinking about, like, just the small things. And sooner than later, like, everything that was making me happy and everything that I was finding this slight enjoyment in was, like, the tiniest of things. Like, just getting up and going to the nice warm shower was like, wow, it's like, this feels really good. It's like, I'm happy to be here in that moment, right? It's like, you know, just someone coming to visit me, which I took for granted for before, you know, that was like amazing to me because I didn't have as many visitors in hospitals. I was hoping, right? Because, you know, like, there's a lot of people that were my friends at the time before my trauma, and they didn't come to hospital to visit me. People that were coming are people that heard about my story and that went through similar things, and obviously my family. But, you know, you really do have to think about the tiniest things that, you know, make you happy. And I think that that's how a lot of people should try to push through mental health issues, is think about the small things that make you happy each day, and don't worry too much about the big things that, you know, that unfortunately we can't do right now. Like, I miss live concerts. Of course, we all miss live events and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like,
It's a luxury.
yeah, like, you know, we're still able to talk to each other through FaceTime, which obviously is not the same, but it's, you know, it's the best we can do right now. I mean, at the end of the day, it's, you know, we're still able to get up in the morning, have ourselves a nice breakfast, you know, chat with our close friends over the phone. Like, a lot of people there's a lot of people that don't have that, you know, ability to talk to their loved ones. Like, when I was in hospital, there was people that were right next to me that had no family come to visit them because they simply, you know, and it was sad. It was really sad. And I'm like, you know, we really have to start thinking about the tiniest things. Stop worrying about the big things so much.
It's just everything that makes you happy. And I think right now, and I don't know, because I remember when Facebook, and I don't know how old you are, but when Facebook first started, it was to share like friend pictures and compliment each other. And there's been this huge shift where now it's become this place where you just complain about what you do not have instead of what you do have. And, you know, whether it's focusing on the positive things in your life or stop focusing on the things you don't have in your life, I think everyone would at least manage a little bit better through these weird times. But we just spend so much time focusing on what's being taken away, I put that in quotations, instead of focusing on, hey, what we do have right now. We have the ability to talk to you. We have the ability to still live under, you know, a roof with food. You know, society's become very negative.
Absolutely. I mean, like, look, I can wake up every day right now, like, I'm alive. Like, you know, like I said, like, I have a nice warm shower in my own home now. Like, it's, you know, I appreciate the small things. I light candles at night, and, you know, the scent of the candles is really nice. Like, it's tiny things, but it's like, those are the things that, like, I find enjoyment in. And you know, I think so many people are just forgetting about those small things. But if they took like a few minutes and really looked at those small things, I feel like they'd be a lot happier.
Yeah. It's perspective. Perspective is everything. And Jenna brought up social media, and it made me think of triggers. It's important to recognize your triggers just as much as it is to appreciate the small things, right? So if there are things like social media that make you feel negative or depressed because you compare yourself to others, then, you know, maybe stay off.
Yep. The one thing I always say about social media, and I've always said this about social media, is it can bring a lot of good. I've seen a lot of good come out of social media, like raising money for charities and stuff like that and posting positive things. But I've also seen a ton of negative stuff. Like right now, everybody is very, like, you know, split in what they think about this whole coronavirus. Is it real? Is it fake? I can tell you firsthand, it's very real. But, you know, it's, you know, people won't listen to that. They'll think it's a lie, or there'll be another media article that'll come out that's not necessarily true. And then next thing you know, you have like one post, and then everybody below that is split decision, which is fine. It's, you know, I like to call that DBT thinking. It's like, you know, everybody can be right in a way. But at the same time, people are fighting and arguing and whatever. And this is not a time that we should be fighting or arguing. This is a time that we need to come together, not split.
Right.
Did you have the corona? What's your firsthand experience with it?
No, so I have not. Thank God I've tested negative each time. But yeah, my current girlfriend, she works in pharmacy. But beyond that, like I said, I have a lot of paramedic friends. I'm a community partner with Peel Regional Paramedics as well. So like I take part in their one of their volunteer programs, which isn't currently running now. But I can tell you right now that being in touch with a lot of these other paramedic friends of mine, they are saying they are like drowning in, just tiredness from all. So, and then personally, me too, like I do obviously suffer from a cardiac issue. So I actually did have a cardiac spike recently, and I had to actually go to the ER. And I can tell you right now that I've never seen the hospital that busy before. But not just that, but some of my tests were actually bumped just because of how busy they were.
Right.
So it's like a lot of people that have chronic issues aren't necessarily getting the treatment that they really need right now because of how bad the hospitals are overcrowded with COVID. Now, Don't get me wrong, there's probably a lot of hospitals that are not overpacked. It depends on what area you live in. But I can tell you now, living in a city, it's like the hospital is jam-packed right now.
Right.
So Corey, do you have any tips for negative self-talk? So let's say you get triggered, you see a guy that has better abs than you on Instagram, and it just sends you into a spiral. Just me.
Just you.
What are some tips for that negative self-talk? Because oftentimes that internal voice, the negative one, is a lot louder. How do you make them shut up?
I think first of all, it's all about really taking that moment and kind of like breathing before you react. So if you see someone that like angers you, for example, whatever on social media, I would say really take a step back and like look at their point of view before you just like lash out at them or whatever. I'll disagree with people on social media, but I never get to the point where it's like a full-on fight like a lot of people do on social media. I just don't see a point in that. Why waste your energy on fighting with somebody when you could take all that positive like energy inside of you, turn it into a positive energy and create some content or do something else outside of social media, right? Like for me, like I've been trying to create constant content for my Instagram because that's something that I'm personally trying to grow this year is my Instagram. So I mean, I think like you need to really focus on like small projects like that and figure out ways how to improve yourself and, work on yourself and, use that negative energy and try to find a way to switch it into a positive, which is easier said than done, but it can be done.
Yeah, don't wallow in the negative thoughts, right? Try to be your own best friend and talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, what are 5 tips? I saw, speaking of your Instagram, what is your Instagram handle?
It is Corey Dixon 33.
Corey Dixon 33. Oh, there, you got his age.
Actually, fun fact. So before my trauma, I did actually used to race go-karts and cars and stuff.
Yes, it's on my list. I was going to ask, you're a professional go-kart racer. What? Mario Kart, hello.
So yeah, so
I went on go-karts once and I got kicked off for crashing too many times.
Yeah, no, it seems legit. That happens a lot.
Thank God it's not just me.
Oh, it's harder than you think.
But yeah, like it was my racing number for the longest time. So during my trauma, I had 33 as that. My actual age is actually I'm 26 currently.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
What, you missed that? I'm only 27.
26. I don't even remember what that age felt like.
Yeah, but
that's not why you don't remember.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I've been trying to keep busy on Instagram this year. It's been a goal of mine to kind of raise more awareness of mental health and stuff on my Instagram as well. Give some entertainment tips as well, because there's a lot of stuff that people don't talk about in the entertainment industry, like networking. It's all about auditions, but no one, I shouldn't say no one. Lots of people talk about networking. It's just I don't think it's talked about enough. I have lots of friends that want to get into the industry and they're like, what's your key tip? Like, how do you know all these cool people? And like, how have you met all these cool contacts? And I'm like, networking, so.
Which is a bit harder these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, one thing I've done is I've reached to people over Facebook. I'm like, hey, like, how you doing? Hope you're keeping well and hope you're keeping safe. This is who I am. Let's chat. I'm like, some industry people, they're more like declined to that idea, and like they're more like old style where they don't really want to communicate over Facebook about stuff like that. But I'm like, in a digital age like now, especially now, I'm like, what's wrong with networking a bit online? I don't think there's a problem with that. I love.
You have no other choice right now but to network online.
Yeah.
Corey, when people ask me for tips to get into entertainment, I say sit down because I'm not done yet. try that sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. I mean, I think we're always growing. I think anyone that's in the entertainment industry, even if they just get their foot in the door, it's like at the end of the day, you're still growing. Like, I mean, I have an okay following now, but I would love to continue to grow, continue to learn new things. I think that's the biggest thing that I tell people too, is you need to learn new things in the entertainment industry. I studied radio broadcasting myself. I did like a lot of that. And then, I'm like, the whole entertainment industry is, you kind of have to see as a whole. It's like PR and radio broadcasting and acting and news broadcasting. It all eventually comes together in the end. It's like, if you become a well-known actor, next thing you know, you're on the news. So, I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I believe that you should go for full circle and not fully limit yourself, and, experiment and enjoy the entertainment industry for what it is, and learn new things.
Including reality TV. Can you tell me what episode of Party Mamas you were on? Do you remember this show, Party Mamas? It was like Real Housewives that would throw parties, and that was the show.
Oh, now I remember.
Yeah.
He said it at first, and I was like, no. But now I remember. It was almost like My Sweet 16 or whatever.
Kind of. Was your mom a party mama?
No. So it was actually, my dad was on the show. So the way they wanted to lay out the show, so it was kind of scripted. I don't know if I can say that now or whatever, but
we don't work for them.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure everyone knows that reality TV is slightly scripted.
It was. So we did make this song, and the song, to be honest with you, was pretty much geared towards the show. Like, it was not meant to be a song. And it went viral. Like, the song went like, but to be quite frank, it wasn't a good song. Like, it was not a good song. And it went viral in the wrongest ways possible. And after that specific reality TV show aired and all of that came out, I instantly said to them, I was like, I want this down. I was like, I don't want it up, because it was actually the initial cause of how I got bullied in high school. So I was like,
you know what you sound like? You sound like Rebecca Black with that song Friday. She had the same issue. That song was massive and viral, but she got bullied to hell in school.
Yep.
And no one ever took her seriously as a singer afterwards.
But look at her now. Now she has a great voice. She went to vocal lessons and stuff like that, and she's big now. But I think that's the biggest thing is but what I did, I think the wrong thing that I did was taking it down, because as though it was really, really bad, it was like I didn't really engage off that and say, hey, yeah, I know it's bad, but I'm working on myself. I want to make something better, right? Instead, I was just I was getting bullied to the point where that was all what's in my head, and I was getting teased at school and pushed into lockers, and I would get dragged outside, and I got physically punched, and that's when I ended up having to switch high schools. But I got to that point, and I was like, that's all was in my head. So I wasn't thinking about so much the entertainment side anymore. I was like, just take it down. So we filed for YouTube to take it down, and they did. And I don't even think the episode, I don't think you can find it, from my understanding. I don't think it's up anymore.
Wow. Do you think, Corey, it would have been different if you had owned it, and to the haters you were like, yeah, I did make that song, Do you think it would have been different?
I think it would have been. I think that still would have been rough, of course, but I think that if I would have said, I know it's a bad song, so tease me all you want, and let it stay up, I think that it would have showed a little bit more strength in me. But I wasn't strong at that point. I wasn't strong enough to handle all the criticism and everything that was going on. So I was like,
Well, you live and learn. And that's why I asked, because my story growing up gay, as soon as I came out of the closet and admitted to all the bullies that I was gay, they stopped caring. So it was only when I was fighting it that people, prey on that weakness. So I that's why I asked that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that I could have fed off it better. It's just, it was a rough time, so I wasn't really thinking there.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we let you go, Corey, I saw on your Instagram, and I'm not going to give it away, 5 tips for mental health that I think people could really benefit from right now. So why don't you share them
especially with this new
lockdown.
The new lockdown, which is just like the old lockdown, but just has a new shiny name, I think.
Yeah.
A new outfit.
Stay at home order.
Stay at home order now. Yes.
Yeah. So 5 tips. So I actually shot that video a little bit ago, but I change up the 5 tips all the time when I tell people mental health advice. But I think the biggest thing is addressing your mental health, which is a huge step. Just saying that, you need help is a huge step to getting yourself the help that you need. Second to that, I think like, meditating and keeping yourself calm through panic attacks, anxiety attacks, very much easier said than done, trust me. But there are ways to do that, and you just kind of have to find that way.
I hear there's like lots of meditation apps, and
Yeah.
I know with my Apple Watch that there's actually, I have an alert that goes I can't remember how often, that tells me to like take a minute to breathe.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's actually really good. Yeah.
Like proper breathing, right? Not just breathe.
Right.
Deep.
Yeah, and then I would say like everyone has their own coping methods, but I think it's about finding healthy coping methods. Like I do know a lot of people that resort to like alcohol and drugs, unfortunately, and it's not healthy at the end of the day. It's going to destroy your body over time. So I think like there's a better way to find healthy coping methods to cope. And I think then at that point, if you need professional help, then you need professional help. And I don't think there's any shame in saying, hey, I need a break. I need to get help. And that's that. You'll have a lot of people saying, oh, you're like, I've had industry people not, be fearful of working with me because I have depression and anxiety. I'm like, hey, listen, I may have these issues going on in my life, but hey, I am so far from weak, and I want to show that to you. Right. So it's like, yeah, I have panic attacks the odd time, and I do suffer from depression, but it's like I can still push through that and still get the job done. So I think like there is no, I don't think anybody is weak that has mental health issues. I think that it's a reality. It's a harsh reality. A lot of people suffer from it.
From what I know, with the people that I know that have mental health issues, is they're some of the strongest people to be able to live with the mental health issues and the daily battles that they suffer from.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, I think knowing when to get professional help is something that you need to figure out, obviously. And like I said, like everybody's coping methods different, but once again, going back to the healthy side, it's like you need to find healthy coping methods,
right?
Not just any coping method.
Like going for a walk.
Exactly. Like
right,
that.
Mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
You made me think of a song there. I don't know if there is one. But
there is now.
But I think that's why these conversations are so important, Corey. Right. It's getting rid of that stigma, which is why January is a big month to talk about mental health.
It already is like a blue month anyways, let alone on top of the lockdown and COVID tensions and everything.
That's what I was talking about. What are you talking about? Some big corporation that takes advantage of it? I wasn't even going to go there.
Yeah, no, I personally hope that the government does find ways to add extra funding for mental health resources after this. I know it's
very wishful thinking, unfortunately.
I know, and that's what a lot of people say too. But I personally hope that they eventually do, because I just know that there's already it was in the news today. There was unfortunately a doctor that committed suicide.
Yeah.
And that was heart-wrenching for me just to see. So I see the effects of COVID in so many different ways. And I know that the economy afterwards is going to be a mess too. All small businesses are going to be messed up after this.
Right. If they survived it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be a hard hit, especially on everyone's mental health. So I think that mental health is so important right now. It's always been important, but right now it needs to be really important.
Right.
So I just hope that, the government finds ways to do something with mental health, because they've been slacking over the years.
Right. And this is why our votes matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why people like you matter, picking up the government slack,
right?
Sharing your story and the importance of mental health. So thank you so much, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care of yourself.
You as well.
Cheers.
Cheers.